That's right. I'm sorry, Randy. But we did find a car that you fit in without having to pop the sunroof up to make room for your head. So besides Randy fitting in the actual car, we decided to buy a car because it would cost less in the long run to buy a used one and then sell it when we leave rather than try to rent or lease a car, especially when we don't have a firm return date. There were a few factors we had to consider. First of all, we needed to understand all the different types of cars, starting with how the cars are fueled.
Yeah, the cars have various different fuel sources, so let's get ready.
Oh my goodness.
First off, there's gas di petrolio liquefatto, GPL, or liquefied petroleum gas in the States, which is comprised of a mixture of hydrocarbon gases, primarily propane and butane. You can buy a car that takes regular gas, petrol, diesel, and then add a second tank that they place in the trunk for GPL with a vaporizer that uses the hot coolant coming from the engine, proceeds to vaporize the gas with control of the amount vaporized. Once vaporized, the GPL is sent to the nozzles upstream of the intake manifold of the accelerator control system that regulates the amount of GPL incoming air mixture. Fuel injection in the most literal sense. Adding this type of system to a car costs around 2,000 euros. GPL is cheaper than one of the other alternatives, methane, which is about half the price, but it's also less efficient, fewer miles per kilometer per liter. So methane usually proves more convenient and cost effective than GPL. With 1 liter of petrol, gasoline in the States, a car can travel about 14 kilometers. It's about 12 kilometers on a liter of GPL. With a kilogram of methane, by comparison, a car can travel 22 kilometers.
Yeah, okay, so in normal terms, GPL is liquefied petroleum gas, methane is natural gas, petrol is the gas we're used to putting in our cars in the US, leaded and leaded with its different levels of octane. And then there's diesel cars, hybrid electric cars, and fully electric cars. So that leads us into the next important thing we have to consider, which is understanding the ZTL.
La zona a traffico limitato.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so the zona traffico limitato, as Randy mentioned, the ZTL are basically restricted areas within cities across Italy that limit traffic to help reduce pollution and emissions and protect the historic city centers. Each city that has a ZTL zone has a website with a map of the zones showing times that vehicles are allowed and which vehicles are allowed.
Okay, here we go again.
Oh, glasses, okay.
Yeah. So, to improve pollution and air quality, the European Union created directives that give specifications for the build and efficiency of new vehicles registered within the EU. These regulations are designed to become more stringent over time and define acceptable limits for exhaust emissions. The goal is to reduce things like carbon monoxide, CO, nitrogen oxides, NOx, hydrocarbons, HC, and particulate matter, PM. These standards are already having the desired effect. According to the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT, it would take 50 new cars today to produce the same amount of pollutant emissions as one vehicle built in the 1970s. So to summarize, the EU is basically acting like the state of California when it comes to vehicle emissions.
Thank you for that, Randy. Yeah, so cars in Europe are classified as Euro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, based on the vehicle's emission standards, with Euro 1 being the first standard, which was introduced in 1992, and saw catalytic converters become required on new cars, effectively standardizing the electronic fuel injections, EFI. Euro 6 are the latest models, where the amount of pollutants are greatly reduced utilizing EFI. And it's important to know if your car is a Euro 6 diesel or a Euro 1 petrol, and where that means you can drive, because you could get fined if you don't know where your car isn't allowed to go in the ZTL zones again. The European Commission provides a guide for the different Euro emission categories for cars sold up to a year after the dates shown in their table. But it's a general standard, and it's always good to check with the manufacturer directly, because some cars bought after the implementation date may still have the previous Euro standard. So for example, if your car was built in, say, June 2013, but sold a year and a half later, it might still be a Euro 5. So if your vehicle is older than 1992, it probably won't have a Euro standard at all, Euro emission standard. So that might mean that you're banned entirely from entering some towns and cities at certain times of day.
Yeah, so given the different rules and restrictions on travel at certain times of day for petroleum fueled cars, and not knowing when our clinic visits would be scheduled and maybe not even where, but recognizing that the ZTL could potentially keep us from getting there, we decided to maximize our flexibility and go with the electric car. We narrowed it down to a couple of options, including the Fiat Cubo and the Renault Zoe. But just to be clear, my choice of the new fully electric Alfa Giulia GT that cost roughly $500,000 didn't make Marika's lists of alternatives, despite how great it looks.
It does look great.
Apparently, she thinks it's too expensive and that we can't afford it and that we need somewhere to live. She's so picky.
Yeah, it's the cost of a house.
Well, she also left out a few of my other choices, like this saucy selection. And this sensible, low-budget, family-friendly option.
Yeah. So for the realistic options, the toaster on wheels was not my preference. And Randy fit in the Zoe without having to have any kind of sunroof, so yay. Randy, we have a car.
Yeah, it's brand new. What do you think?
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Check it out.
It's making noises in a foreign language. So there's a back seat.
And look, this looks like a fingerprint, but it's not. It just goes like this. Open it.
Whoa, spacious back seat. Very nice. All right.
That's the cord to plug it in at home. That's the cord to plug it in at the Colonnina, the charging station.
Yeah, you'll have to explain Colonnina to me later. All right.
Marika was so excited. The dealership told us it takes about 45 minutes to charge at 70%, 2 hours to charge at 90%, and if you just leave it plugged in overnight, it'll charge to 100%. Charge runs you about €5 if it's plugged in at home and 15 euros at one of the colonne, the charging stations or columns. There are multiple apps that show you the nearest charging station, and a full charge is supposed to last almost 300 kilometers in the city and up to 450 kilometers on the highway. But that's according to the used car dealer, so the numbers might be a touch inflated.
Yeah, but either way, it's a way better deal than buying gas, which after converting from euros per liter costs about $6 a gallon. And here's a travel hint. Make sure you always choose self-serve gas because they charge you an extra 20 cents per liter or 70 cents in dollars per gallon for the convenience of having someone pump it for you.
Yeah, if we get really motivated down the road, we might dedicate a full video to the process of the purchase at some point. It's a whole epic saga on its own between the paperwork and the mileage and dickering over the price and renting the battery itself and getting the charging cables and registration and insurance.
Yeah, so let's just leave it with the fact that we got a good deal thanks in large part to my uncle's help, or thanks solely to my uncle's help. And we got a hand getting to the dealership from Francisco with MyBus, who was so kind and even waited while one of the several negotiations took place just to bring me back home.
Yeah, so as usual, we hope you continue to enjoy our channel and take the time to like this video by clicking the thumbs up. Click subscribe to follow along with us as we continue our journey, and click the bell to get notified when we post our future videos. It's one way we can all stay connected across continents.
And we're so grateful to you, our friends and family on both sides of the ocean, for all your support during all this time. We'll see you next time.